Good morning. Hi, this is Tracy Payton. I'm with Trade Only. I'm the Director of Training. Today we're going to be covering Eme Trade Only's Vision system, and we're going to be looking at CRM, which is Customer Relationship Management. So we're going to go ahead and log in to the Vision system. What you see in front of you is the Eme Vision dashboard. So once you log into the system, you're going to arrive at this screen, which is the dashboard screen. And this is where you can see an overview or a snapshot of what's going on within your store or franchise. Up here across the top, the system is divided in different sections. The first section being products. So anything to do with sourcing products, product research, this would be found in this under this drop down. Projects is where you would cover anything to do with order management. So the order cycle. Again, it's your POS system, so anything from creating a new project and quoting, presentation, sales orders, purchase orders, and invoices would be found in this section of Vision. The area which we're going to focus today is under the contacts, and this is where you have your customer database as well as your vendor database. And we're going to talk about what a customer record includes. You also have reports within your system, financials, so you have receivables where you can receive payment and deposit, refund credit. You also have your royalty report and your account summary. And finally, you have websites. Websites is where you can create company stores for your customers, as well as view and manage your Eme website. On the dashboard, you'll also see 6 windows, one being featured products. This window will take you into the product research area within your system. You also have monthly sales, so you can see different reports generated out of the system as well. You have the latest projects that you're working on, so you can see those on your dashboard as well, and you can click into this blue link to take you into the project so you can see what's going on with that project. And down at the bottom, you can have or view your company performance, quick stats, and also see your daily and weekly tasks. These tasks are pulled from the calendar feature, and we're going to go into that shortly, which is a component of the CRM within the Vision system. So we're going to begin up here in the calendar. The calendar is located at the top right of your screen. So if we click onto the calendar feature, the calendar feature allows you to put in an event and tie that event to a customer or a prospect. It also allows you to assign those events to various individuals on your team or within your store. So as you can see here, if I scroll down, I have my other employee calendars. I can choose to check those and access what's going on within their calendar, or I can check it and actually put an activity on their calendar. To put an activity onto the calendar, you can do this 2 ways. One, up here at the corner, you can add an event. And when you do this, you can select the customer, allocate it to the individual you want to follow up with, or you want to actually place the phone call or the meeting. It's going to default to the person that's signed into the Vision system. You can also tie it to the customer by looking up here, the name of the customer. So highlight that and select. It will automatically pull through the contact for that customer. If you want to have it with another contact, you can select that here in the drop-down. The category drop-down will allow you to select what type of event or activity this is. So we could do a priority call. You have your date. If you click in here, you can set the date for this, as well as you can highlight the time and key in the time. The duration, you can just use the drop down to select the duration, so we can do a 30-minute phone call. But what's most important is that you put the objective. With a good CRM system, you want a central area where you can see everything that's going on with that customer. So all these phone calls and meetings that you place to them are important, especially since you need to put what you spoke to that customer about or what they followed up with that customer regarding. So in this objective, we can put the priority call was to follow up with a quote. And when you've actually placed that phone call, if there's an action that you've taken, you can go ahead and pull up this entry, key in the action, and then if you've completed the entry, you can click on no further action and it will mark it as complete within the customer record and on your calendar. In this case, we'll just go ahead and save this. And you can see on the 14th, if I hover over that, you can see that there's a priority call. You have a date, a description, customer name, and those that are attending. You also can view it on the task area on your dashboard or the task area located at the bottom left of the screen. So again, if you hover over it, it will give you a little bit more detail. This also will appear within the activities section of the customer record, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. As I mentioned, there was two ways of adding an event to the calendar. You could use this add an event, or you could just simply double click into the date that you want to add that event. So we're going to go back to the home. And then we will see where this activity or event was added to the task. And you can see it there on the dashboard in the lower right that you have a priority call. Again, if you hover over it, you'll see more detail. And if you need to edit this, you can do that as well. And then when it's completed, I can just simply check this box and it will fall off my task area for that day. So that's the first feature that enhances the CRM within this Eme Vision system. What I'd like to talk about next is if we come over here to contacts, I do want to mention the information that's kept on a customer record. So if I come in here to customers, this is where you'll see an overview of all the customers that are in your system. It's important to note if I highlight a customer, you'll see their information over to the right. So it allows you to see a snapshot of their information, including their company details, so just their general information. It shows you a little bit of their recent activity, so you can see both their orders that have taken place, invoices, as well as any meetings or anything that's been put on the calendar. You also can click on this contact details, and this will show you the various contacts that are tied to this customer. Anytime you see something in blue, that is a link, so you can click in there for more details. You can also view the website of the customer just by clicking on the web address. You can email from the screen as well as call out. So if you had a system that allowed you to dial, you could go ahead and click on this and it would allow you to place a phone call to this customer. To view more detail of the customer record, you can just click in to this blue area, either the name or the account number. And this will pull up the customer information. So you'll see various tabs across the top. We're going to go through those tabs. The first tab being the general company info. The name, account number, address, city, state, zip code. State and zip code are very important because the tax tables pull from that information. So it is a required field on the company info tab. You also can choose to enter a prospect or an active customer. If it is a prospect, the minute that you do a WIP or sales order and process that, that prospect will move into the active customer category. But it does allow you to keep track of your prospects as well as your customers. You also can choose the business type. Is this a company or an individual? And then again, it's pretty self-explanatory, but you have your phone number, fax number, email address, and website. Coming over to the Contact Info tab, this allows you to enter as many contacts as you need for this customer. You can do that by clicking on the New Contact and then filling out the information here on Add a Contact. It is important to note that you can have a contact that defaults to those that are responsible for payments or have them as your primary contact. So when this is checked, that it's going to automatically default that for any billing purposes if they're checked as responsible for payments. And if they're checked as the primary contact, it will just default automatically to that individual unless noted otherwise on the drop-down. And once you fill in the information, you just go ahead and hit save, and it will add that contact to your list of contacts for this customer. You also have the ability to add as many addresses as you need, so you can have alternative addresses. Those can be tied to a contact, or they could be individual addresses that are standalone. An example of this would be if you have the Little League as your customer, and you possibly have a contact for the Angels, the Dodgers, or maybe you have a single A, double A, triple A. And then you might also have addresses for the actual field, as well as maybe the corporate office or the national office that they belong to. The Marketing tab allows you to group your customers, and this is very important for CRM. It allows you to group the customers so that when you run reports, you can do some targeting marketing towards those particular customer groups. The first thing that you see here is this drop-down called Rep Code. This is going to default to the rep that is added in the customer. You can go ahead and allocate it to someone different on your staff if you'd like. The source becomes important because this actually tells you, how did this customer become a customer of yours? Did they hear about you from word of mouth, from another customer? Were they referred? Did they attend an expo? Or did they respond to a marketing campaign such as an e-shot? So this drop down you can customize, you can add to it, and it allows you to select the source of that customer. You also can choose the status of the customer. This is a pre-populated drop down. It is not customizable. However, you can select if they're a key account, maybe they're a problem account, or a lapsed account. So again, you can run reports out of the system and you can mark it to those key accounts, or you can follow up and track down those that are problem accounts. You also have the ability to select competitor. So if AT&T is your client, you can go ahead and run a report that says show all AT&T's competitors, and that could populate someone like T-Mobile or Verizon. So you could add them in as a competitor. Geography is a drop-down which you can customize, and I will show you in a few minutes where you can customize these drop-downs. You can add in various geographies and then select the geography that applies to the customer. Organization, you also have the ability to look at the different organizations and flag that customer accordingly. Industry is something that you can customize, so you want to make sure that you select the industry of that customer. And finally, marketing tags. Marketing tags allow you to group customers by their buying trends or even their group affiliations. So you can add whatever you need to into this marketing tag. This will be pre-populated by corporate. However, you can ask for other marketing tags to be added. But as you can see, we have memberships here that you can select. You can also put in that they buy apparel, maybe they like NFL. So you can go ahead, maybe they only bring in their own apparel. Maybe it's a sports league. So you can select as many marketing tags that apply to a customer and group them accordingly. On the Payment Info tab, this is where you can select the payment information for the customer. So you can obviously select the currency, payment terms. Sales tax will be defaulting based upon the address, but if they are exempt, maybe they're a reseller, you can choose that here as well. The Notes section is very important in CRM because it allows you to keep track of what's going on with that customer. In this Notes area, you can add a note that is a general note for the customer. This is different from the project note. Every time you do something for the customer, you're pretty much opening a project. And if anything specific to the project you're working on, that actually belongs in the project notes. In the customer notes, you would find something like maybe they require 2 duplicate copies of the invoice sent to various locations. Or maybe they need their FedEx tracking number on all POs. So you would put those general customer notes in this area. It's also a great area to put a customer personal information note. So something like the owner's birthday is on such and such date, so that it reminds you to send them a promotional item. You also have the Activities tabs, and as I mentioned earlier, this pulls from the calendar as well as the order area. So not only can you see all the calendar events for that customer, you can see the projects for that customer, including those that are closed and those that are open. It allows you to see the quotes for that customer, sales orders, and this is nice because you have a history, and if it's a reorder, you can come in here and pull the sales order and then just duplicate that sales order for that customer. You also can see all the invoices for that particular customer as well. And finally, you can see all the files. The files are uploaded to the project. So every time that you, again, do a project for a customer, you might have a different artwork that you're putting in there. It might be an email list, it might be PDF or an Excel sheet. Those are all files that can be uploaded to the project, and ultimately all project files are pulled through to the customer record. So when you go to the customer record under Files, you can see everything that you've used for this particular customer. And finally, you have the Logo tab. The Logo tab allows you to upload a logo for this particular customer. And this logo can be used on the documents being sent out of the system, as well as virtual sampling on products within the system. To upload a logo, you simply can come up here to the Upload button, and you can go ahead and choose your file. Now I do want to make sure that you understand that the logos here are JPEG, GIFs, or PNGs. And then you would just click on the logo that you want to upload, and it would send that logo to your logo locker. Once that logo is uploaded, you can come over to My Logos. This has the label for the customer, so the customer logo would automatically be assigned to the customer folder. That allows you to have multiple logos for a customer. But if I clear that folder, I can see all the logos that I've uploaded to my logo locker, and I can go ahead and select the logo that I want to be applied to this customer record. And again, this customer logo will be on the documents sent out of the system, sales orders, invoices, etc. So any changes that you do make to your customer, you definitely want to click Save. And I do want to emphasize, with a good CRM system, the better the information in the system, the better the information is that is out of the system. So those reports that you're able to generate are very accurate if the information is accurate within the customer record. So a couple things. We went into the actual customer record and I showed you the various tabs and the information that we do collect. This is also available for vendors. So we have a vendor database. This lists all the various vendors that are in the system, and EmbroiderMe has labeled them with gold, silver, bronze, and preferred, so you can see that there as well. And a vendor record looks very similar to a customer record. So if I click on this vendor record, you'll still see the tabs that we just went through from the customer standpoint. So we collect all the same information for a vendor. You also have the ability, if the vendor and supplier is not in your database, you have the ability to add a vendor, just like you have the ability to add a customer. And that is done from the contacts drop down here, and you hit Create New. This is where you can establish whether it's a customer or vendor, and then you would fill in the information here. You can also select whether it's a lead, and then that would fall into your prospect database, so you can run reports on your prospects. So you could choose lead or active customer, company or individual, and again fill out all the various information that you see here, including the source, status, competitor, geography, organization, and industry, and then hit Save. And that will prompt you to fill out the rest of the customer information. So again, that's done here from Contacts, Create New. Another way of creating a customer, and a lot of times this will be what you need to do when they walk in and you don't have a lot of time to come in here to Contacts and create a new and fill out all the various tabs. What you would need to do is come in and create a project, open a project for the customer that's in front of you, give that project a subject, and then over here under customer, this allows you to look up a customer. You could type in the first few letters of a customer. So if it is an existing customer that's in front of you, you can select that customer just by typing in a few letters, and then it will pull through the contacts. It also pulls in the notes that are on the customer record that we talked about. So you can view those notes by clicking on the blue link. However, if it's a new customer, you don't have to leave the screen. You can just come over here to this plus button, and this allows you to fill out the customer information, as well as if you need to add a contact, you can use this plus button to do that as well. Then when you go ahead and move on from this project screen and you create a quote, sales order, and invoice, this customer that you've added will automatically be added to your database and will be found under your customers. The last thing I want to cover within the CRM functionality of the EmbroiderMe Vision system is those drop downs that you saw on the customer record. How do you edit those and customize those? This is done up in the top right under Settings. And if you come over here to System, the System drop down, you have Eme CRM Settings. This allows you to edit the source drop down. So right here, since source is showing, I can come in here and type in a different source and save. And now I've added email to that drop down. I also can come over here and go into industry and do the same thing. And hit save, and it will add that to the drop down. So this is an area where you can customize those drop down lists so that you're able to group your customers in a way that makes sense for you. Then the last one you have here is geography, and I can put East Coast and click save. So again, that's where you would customize those drop downs found within the customer record. And that again is under Settings, system Eme CRM settings. So that concludes the webinar today on the Vision CRM function. And if you have any questions, you can contact support@tradeonly.com. And we hope to see you on many more webinars. Thank you very much for attending.